This session is chaired by Professor Anu Agarwal. She's a professor in the Department of Operational Research, Faculty of Mathematical Science, University of Delhi. She's a distinguished academician with over 2 decades of experience in teaching, research, and academic leadership. Her research spans across mathematical modeling, optimization, e-commerce, software reliability, and soft computing techniques. She has over 120 publications and has guided several MPhil and PhD scholars. She has led several government-funded projects and served on UGC and university statutory bodies. May I request Professor Chadda sir for felicitating our session chair.
You should have told me earlier.
So,
no problem.
We warmly welcome you, ma'am. Thank you for chairing this keynote session. The session is presided over by Professor Satyakam, Vice Chancellor, Uttar Pradesh Rashtriya Tandon Open University, Prayagraj. He is a renowned academic leader and accomplished academic administrator. His leadership and contribution to open education have significantly strengthened the role of distance learning institution in expanding educational opportunities. He champions curricular development, skill-based education, and use of technology to broaden the access to higher education across Uttar Pradesh. We are honored by his presence. Thank you, sir, for presiding over this session. We now introduce our distinguished speakers for this keynote session. Our first speaker is Professor Ami Upadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar State Open University. Professor Upadhyay has been actively involved in advancing open and distance education through policy initiative, institutional development, and international collaboration. Her work reflects a deep commitment to inclusive and flexible learning opportunities. She has served on several national and state level committees and has honored with numerous prestigious awards for her contribution to education. She has over 50 publications to her credit and has been instrumental in advancing open and distance learning in India. We look forward to her valuable insights. Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Dr. Torun Gjelsvik. She's a Secretary General of International Council for Open and Distance Education, the leading global network for inclusive, open and distance learning based in Oslo, Norway. She holds a master's degree in Nordic language and literature, complemented by studies in French, history, management, and strategic communication. She is a globally respected voice in the field of open, distance, and online education. She has played a key role in promoting international cooperation, innovation, and quality assurance in digital learning system. We are privileged to have her for sharing a global perspective on the future of open and distance education. Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Professor Santosh Panda. Professor Panda is a distinguished academician and globally respected authority in open, distance, online, and blended learning. A former chairperson of National Council for Teacher Education, Government of India. He has led several prestigious leadership roles at IGNOU, NEPA, and Association of Indian Universities, and University of South Pacific, Fiji. He is also a Fulbright Senior Fellow and currently serves as Chief Editor of Scopus Index Journal of Learning for Development of the Commonwealth of Learning, Canada. We are honored to have you, sir. Our next speaker is Sir John Daniel, former Vice Chancellor of UK Open University. He will be joining us online. He is a globally renowned leader in open and distance learning with over 5 decades of experience in higher education. He has led several distinguished academic and leadership positions, including Vice Chancellor of Open University, President of Commonwealth of Learning, Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO, and the President of Laurentian University. He has authored more than 400 publications, including influential books such as Mega Universities and Knowledge Media, Mega Schools, Technology and Teachers. His contribution to education have been recognized with national honor from France, UK, and Canada. With this, I invite Professor Anu Agarwal to give initial remarks.
Good morning, everyone. On the behalf of School of Open Learning, I extend my warm welcome to all the esteemed speakers from India and abroad. And the theme of the session is relevant, once after this COVID outbreak, we have understood what is the, the value of online education, how, even in the time of pandemic, when all the universities was closed, only, the way of learning was through the online mode. So that is how we have learned that, what impact online education can have. Okay, so I extend my warm welcome to all the esteemed speakers, and I'm looking forward to, very involved engagement from all of you. And I hope that once this session is over, we get a lot of food for thought, like, which we can collaborate and we can, integrate in our future research efforts. Welcome you, sir.
Now I request Professor Satyakam to conduct the session.
आपका नाम क्या है? Thank you, Anjani. Respected chairperson and my colleagues on the dais, Professor Ami Upadhyay, just she has corrected me to pronounce my name correctly. So, Ami ji, to theek hai na? Dr. Tarun Glechevik, thoda pronunciation I'm not doing well. Professor Santosh Panda and Sir John Daniel. Sir is listening to us or not? No. Sir is listening to us? No. Oh, good morning, sir, from here. Good morning and good evening.
Can you hear me?
Voice is not audible. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
My microphone is on, so you should.
Okay, we will talk to him later. We have to. The schedule is from 11:30 to 1, but I think we are half an hour behind the schedule. This is a very interesting topic: open and distance education and digital learning, innovations and future. Now we have forward one step. That is digital learning, from open and distance education to digital learning. This is a very normal course and normal process. I think the speaker, if they manage to sum up their presentation or speech in 10 to 15 minutes, and after that the chairperson will speak and then I will conclude. So 15 minutes or 10 minutes, Panaji? 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So, okay, 15 minutes. ठीक है Panaji. Okay. So now I invite Professor Ami Upadhyay ji, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar State University and Distance Education, Gandhinagar, and I must say she is a very experienced distance educator, and surely we should listen her and we should learn from him what she will place here. Thank you. Please come.
I'm not sure they could be full. Shall I turn that off then?
No, just, yeah.
Thank you, Professor Satyakam. Respected President of the session, Chairperson of the session, my co-speakers and esteemed guest academicians, researchers here. It's a matter of pleasure and privilege to speak about something which is close to your heart, one's heart. And here, from NAC A++ accredited university, I'm here to share my experience. The title says Open Distance Learning, Digital Learning, and Innovations and Futures. I was wondering futures, but then I thought that maybe, India has so many, it's not one India, in one India there are many Indias, and especially when we talk about open distance learning, because they are the regional language, regional influence, content development, all these things play a very vital role, so might be a part of the title. National Education Policy 2020 has come up with many dimensions. It talks about, it emphasizes a lot on 50% GER by 2035. Now it is not possible. Before 2 to 3 years, when I had a glance over it, total GR, out of total GR, more than 11-12% GR comes from open universities. Open distance learning, online learning, that still adds to it. So when we talk about 35% GR, open distance learning, online learning plays vital role. Second, NEP 2020, today in inauguration also, Honorable Ministers have talked about it, Honorable respected Vice Chancellors have also mentioned it, that NEP 2020, very student-centric approach, it talks about digital education. That defines education in India, it talks about digital education. When we talk about Viksit Bharat Shiksha Adhisthan Bill, there also we come across very frequent references of open and distance learning. It's again a different story that it still needs to be contextualized more, all the possible, then it would yield the result. When we talk about student-centric approach, again open distance learning comes in center. Because generally in open distance education, digital learning, online learning, blended learning, hybrid learning, many a times blended learning and hybrid learning, people think it to be the same. That's a huge difference. So everywhere, student is in the center. In generally conventional center, the teacher occupies the place. Here, the student occupies the central place. So it is more student-centric. Now today also Swayam Prabha, NPTEL, Diksha, even now teachers training through UGC, Malavya Mission, we observe that lot of digitally driven initiatives are taken by Gujarat, by Indian government. Gujarat the government also follows with many other online platforms also, and central admission portal and everything. When we talk about innovation or digitization, considering the present and future, there are two approaches to open distance learning. One is related to student cycle, how student cycle is managed by innovation and digitization. And second is teaching learning process. So considering these two, I will be discussing that. I should be very thankful to Professor Panda because, because of him, the other speakers would be getting 5 minutes more. Thank you so much for that. Now, first of all, when we talk about student cycle, in open distance learning, because most of you must be familiar only when the courses and programs are different, so courses or programs are to be launched. Generally the feedback, a kind of a survey takes place that what are in demands. So when the courses are to be chosen or launched, programs are to be launched, the analytics helps. AI would help. What is in demand? Not only that, futuristic approach. Today, many times, I do remember a few years back, most of the engineering colleges in Gujarat, they had mechanical engineers, 7, 8, 10 classrooms. But when they were out, unfortunately, the trend had gone down. So the placement was not enough. So many a times it happens. Now with the help of AI and digital tools, it is very easy to forecast what exactly would be there after 5 years in demand, 7 years in demand, 10 years in demand. So that first of all helps. Second, when we talk about student cycle, starting from the admission, today also CUET is there, Even in Gujarat, JICAS we do have. So starting from the admission form, digitization is there. That helps. Generally, examination form, and with the help of AI, I have observed that everywhere continuous guidance is available. 24/7, a guide is there to help every student, and that's very huge student-centric approach. Because in open distance learning, online learning, student-centered, student support system should be very, very strong. Then only it survives and then only it succeeds. That plays very vital role. Next, when we talk about that choice, we have Swayam, Prabha, all the choice of the subject. Choice-based credit system very beautifully, very smoothly can be executed in rather than conventional universities. It is very easily, very nicely, flexibly introduced in open distance learning and online learning. Now, as you know, algorithm works in social media and everywhere, the same kind of attitude, approach, that would help to the students. For example, a student feeds whatever he or she has read, whatever his biodata, what he likes, a little bit of it. And then all the possible, the portal would offer that these are the courses you may like to opt for. Now there the AI would help. The digitization would help in that case. Second, when we talk about fetching admission, right now DEB ID and APAR ID, all the possible, when a student enters in first standard, he or she would be having a kind of a created profile. Now that continues till he or she comes out of maybe PhD, postdoctoral, everything. So that fetching of information that the student would be not bothered to add his or her enriching profile or something, continuously say providing the same information again and again. In nation like India, where multilingualism is very popular, and especially National Education Policy 2020 really promotes education in regional languages. Again, the future says, we are working on it, that all the possible within very short span will come out with that. The training with a face, kind of words and everything, intonation, pitch and everything, and then one content uploaded, and that will translate in all languages of India. That is possible. Very much personalized content development is also possible. For example, certain simple, what is inflation? Now inflation is to be taught to the students. Now we say the same thing, we want to teach to the student of first year. Explain it, the language, the examples would be different. Master students, not only that, examples from the region of Gujarat, examples from the region of Tamil Nadu, all the possible. It's very easy. So that personalized is possible, teaching, learning takes place. Second, I'm reminded of movie Her. It talks 24/7, someone would be there as a tutor, continuously guiding. Whenever you feel a problem, you ask that. With virtual labs, the things have completely changed. Earlier, I do remember that all the time UGC would be there to tell that this course is not possible, that course is not possible, because it requires a lot of hands-on training. So right now also programs like psychology, performing arts, medical, engineering. Now hopefully in blended mode things would be there in future, or hybrid they will be allowed. But still, when we visited Open University UK or maybe other universities at international level, wonderful virtual labs. So future says there will be virtual labs, and today also Emirates have tried, many good organizations have been trying that training through virtual labs, experiential learning takes place. So these would enrich teaching and learning process also. When we talk about open educational resources, today also they were mentioned. It is very, very important when we talk about future of open distance learning. I feel that somewhere there will be a common platform. Yesterday, even the meeting also we discussed, the common platform where all open distance learning institutes will come and upload their own content. First of all, regional touch will be there, examples, language, everything will be there. Second, sharing of the best resources will be there. That would help to avoid duplication of the resources. Because many times right now, every university, every higher education institute is investing a lot on content development. So at that time, sharing, well, not only that, the expertise, for example, we are expert in 64 arts. So we will be preparing modules related to those arts. Someone very good at yoga, someone very good at health, maybe field of health or medicine. So all the possible people will come with their expertise. Now, students sitting at the periphery would be getting the best experts exposure. That would be possible in future. Not only that, now NEP 2020 and Common this curriculum framework has made it mandatory to have the internship also. On the same platform, the students would be uploading their CV, their interest, and on the same platform, they will have organization, industries, people will be there to provide them internship also. That is possible. When we talk about the future, the third is placement. Placement will also take place on the same platform. So when we think about open distance learning future, I think that is very important, that there will be a platform where all of them, the students, the faculties, the best content creators, and there will be time, more customized, tailor-made courses will be there. So the industries will come forward, they'll tie up with, and today also we have been doing it at our university in Gujarat also, that we tie up with industries. And industry and academia, they provide the joint certificate programs, joint diploma. Very soon there will be full-fledged degree programs related to that too. With micro-credentials, nano-credentials, and digital badges, I think open distance learning, online learning in India would have huge international market also. Not only serving to the Indian diaspora out of India, but surely serving to the international students also. Thank you very much. It was really a great pleasure to share my views here, and I hope that I have completed within time limit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Rami ma'am. Exact 15 minutes, 14 minutes, 59 seconds. What the Vice Chancellor has presented just now is, now we are going towards AI. First, what we have done and doing is digitization, and now we are moving towards AI. So, with the help of AI, we can do analytics, we can do placement, we can do forecast, demand, manage student cycle, learner support, know your learner, personalized teaching, virtual labs, enriching teaching, learning process, placement, industry tie-up, and assessment also. So this is where the open education is going towards AI, and this is a very, very good thing. Now, I invite Dr. Tarun, General Secretary, International Council for Open and Distance Education, for her speech, presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Distinguished colleagues, it's a pleasure and honor to be here for the first time in New Delhi as a visitor from Norway. And thanks to the School of Open Learning for inviting me. So my presentation today about innovations and futures builds on my organization, the International Council for Open and Distance Educations. It builds on the global experience and on the belief that the future of education is a fundamentally human project. At its core, international collaboration is about people. It is about trust, mutual respect, and learning from one another. And in my job as Secretary General, what strikes me most often is how rewarding international collaboration is and the importance of building human relations. Technology can connect us, but relationships sustain us. We need moments where we meet, exchange stories, and build human relations. This is the purpose statement of ICD. It is simply, together we shape inclusive, scalable, and sustainable education. It is a deliberately simplified purpose statement emphasizing on the impact, the societal impact of open and distance education. And while inclusive education takes place in many different forms and formats across the globe and under very different circumstances, the word together is a value that transcends geographical, economic, cultural, and technological barriers. It is a membership organization. The members form the community, so the international collaboration is key, and the togetherness. So, as a member organization, ICD's members, they're mainly higher education institutions, but also individuals and students. We have a free student membership for PhD and master students in the field of education. They work together in networks, expert groups, task forces, and shared learning within the global community. So here are some key facts for those who are less familiar with ICD. This is the oldest and leading global membership organization, as I also explained in the opening. In a consultative partnership with UNESCO and with more than 350 members and partners across 90 countries in the world. Now I want to share a little personal story from my home country in Norway. You see it on the map next to Sweden, Finland, up in the north in Scandinavia. The picture on the right-hand side is an old farm. The White House is the main building, and the red building is the barn. It's an old farm that my husband and I bought 6 years ago that we are currently restoring. It's up in the north of Norway, so where you see the arrow is 1,200 kilometers from the capital, Oslo, which is in the south. So this is a very remote community. Can you see the fjord on the picture? So there's no roads to this farm. You have to go there by boat. So imagine this very remote place. No one lives there anymore. This community is completely abandoned. This person, Peder Sandvik, he was the last farmer who lived there. He gave up in 65, I think it was. And we don't know that much about him, other than that he was born around 1910 and that he had to take care of many family members. They were very poor. He had to leave school very early to go and work on this farm, which is very steep, very cold in the winters, and very difficult. However, what we discovered was in the barn we found this. I don't know if you can see already what this is. It has to do with distance education. This is correspondence courses from 1944-45. This was during the Second World War, where Norway was occupied by Germany. All the universities and schools were closed. But this person could take, Peder Sandvik, he could take correspondence courses in practical mathematics, calculations, and he did that to sustain the outcome of his farm. And we found even later records of the calculations that he did on the harvest, what he could sell in the community, and so forth. So long before online learning, open and distance education transformed lives and societies. And Peder's story reminds us that the origins of innovation in education are deeply human. Here you can see the name change of ICD from the start in 1938 as the International Council for Correspondence Education, later changed name to Distance and then Open and Distance. So while new technologies have developed, the name has changed slightly along with new providers. And today, the terminology is very rich. We use all these different terms in different parts of the world and in different contexts. Open, online, flexible, hybrid, high flex, adaptive, AI powered. This diversity can also create confusion. And ICD's president, Mark Nichols, he accurately named this, when he saw this slide that I made, this is a technological soup. It is confusing. What are we talking about? Is it technology? Is it methodology, pedagogy? So we need a simplified and shared language, starting with defining some key challenges that we are facing. And some of the key challenges that we see members in all the different parts of the world are facing is a lack of understanding from policymakers and global educational stakeholders on why. Why should education open up? Why is accessible, equitable access to education crucial? And how do you provide that?
Can I go behind you?
There are restrictive, limiting policies and regulatory frameworks, many parts on the planet still, and uneven alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. And there's, at the same time, the need to harness innovative potential, innovative technologies, innovative potential of the technologies such as AI. Everyone talks about this. And inclusivity is still far from reality. How do we even define inclusive access? Because still 1/3 of the world's population does not have access to the internet. So if connectivity is a prerequisite for learning, we must treat it as a fundamental right. So global challenges require diverse solutions. There are no one-size-fits-all answers to any of these challenges, but shared practices and perspectives can fuel innovation in the practical solutions. So if you look at universities compared to civil society organizations like ICD, like many other civil society organizations, you can look at universities as the supertanker. They're very powerful, but they can be very slow to turn around, whereas civil society organizations can be more agile, quicker, move faster. And we need the foundational knowledge, obviously, from the universities, but we also need the responsiveness and advocacy from civil society. And universities can learn from civil society organization about collaboration across sectors, about the focus on societal benefits and sustainability of the work that you're doing, the societal impact. More of the interdisciplinary approach of solving practical or complex problems, and a more practice-oriented learning and innovation approach, including the use of new technology. And an openness to experimentation and new approaches. So let me share another personal reflection. In Norway, I'm singing in a women's choir. And in traditional choirs, singers stand like this. So the similar voices stand next to each other, sopranos, altos with altos, sopranos with sopranos. It feels very safe. And all you hear is the voices you're supposed to sing, similar to yours. But in my choir, we deliberately changed the setup to a more mixed, with sopranos and altos and all the different voices mixed. Then what happens is that you have to trust your own voice, but you have to stand shoulder to shoulder with someone who sings a different voice. So you have to hear your own voice, but you adjust it. You always adjust it to the person next to you who sings a different tune. And that's when we sing, when the intonation is better. It's much better than if you're standing next to someone who's singing the same voice than you are. So that's when the music happens. That's when the magic happens. And that's when we give the best musical performance to the audience, but also to ourselves. So for me, this is a metaphor for collaboration, how it should be in global education too. We must stand shoulder to shoulder to someone who sings a different tune and learn to listen before we speak. Thank you. So at the ICD World Conference in Wellington in New Zealand last year, every other year we host these big conferences with our members across the globe. We had for the first time in history indigeneity as an overarching theme. And ako, that is the Maori principle of teaching and learning. So the word means teaching and learning at the same time. It's a reciprocal concept. It means it's a relationship. So it treats knowledge as a process. It's something that's woven in between people through an exchange. And similarly, we learned from Ubuntu. That's the African philosophy that is often expressed as I am because we are. It emphasizes identity and flourishing arise with others, not apart from them. And on the right-hand picture, you see Professor Puleng Lenkabula. She's the Vice Chancellor of UNISA, the University of South Africa. And she explained about Ubuntu and linked it to the Maori concept of ako. And surprisingly similar, even though one is a pedagogy and the other is a philosophy, there was many similarities. So what we learn is that, I think most important for me is that learning is inseparable from care and responsibility. It is about humans. It is about caring for learning and sharing. And education is always a relationship, so that teacher will also learn from their students. It's not a one-way transferable knowledge process. Knowledge is connected to land and people and places. And sustainable education requires cultural openness and attentiveness to context-specific practices that are rooted in indigenous and local knowledges. Okay, I'll try to speed up because the chair is very strict here, but I just wanted to also highlight this. Of course, it's not only about diversity. That's not the only element that will solve sustainable education goal number 4, about equitable access to education for all people. This goal is so massive, but it's also key to transform the whole sustainable development agenda. And if you think about what it means, equitable access to quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all humans on the planet. That goal is so massive in scale that it is unthinkable without open, distance, flexible learning provision. So everyone here is interested in this, and everyone here who engages in this contributes to the Sustainable Development Goal number 4 together. However, we must ensure quality. It's not only about education for all, it's quality education for all. So when still many countries have limiting qualification frameworks or accreditation systems that do not encompass different modes of learning, then it's a problem. So it's still a huge lack of awareness to this, and advocacy is needed. So one of the key activities that my organization is doing with our members is a global advocacy campaign. Through local or regional task forces in the different parts of the world, they advocate for equitable access to education within the context that they're in their own language. Okay, I'll just briefly mention this is another initiative that ICD supports as a strategic partner. It's a benchmarking framework for institutional quality assurance, and it's initiated by our members in Dubai, Hamdan bin Mohammed Smart University. So it's also a growing community of members that are, the principle is that they share their own data with each other to compare most of all themselves, their own university, but through this common framework, they can also benchmark the university's quality results with other institutions. And the members of the consortium have collaboratively developed these dimensions, the quality dimensions, and you will see many familiar dimensions here, such as teaching and learning, learner services, and technology environment. But look at the dimensions of outcome and impact on society, and diversity and inclusiveness. Those are also quality dimensions. And of course, under these dimensions, there are many, many indicators. So I think it's interesting to see that also innovation can also take place in quality assurance when different institutions work together across borders and cultures. So diversity is a driver for innovation. Through ICDE, there are many opportunities to engage. We do organize events, we do organize projects, and this advocacy campaign that I mentioned. We have an open scholarly journal called Open Praxis, and we have a doctoral consortium for doctoral students. And we have different networks, the Technology and Innovation Network, one for open education, and a quality committee, which is actually chaired by Professor Linda Amran Cooper, who is also a guest at this conference. So on Also just mentioning the upcoming conferences. There's one on lifelong learning. This is in Norway, actually. Lillehammer is in Norway. It was an Olympic city a long time ago in '94. It will be in February next year. Lots of snow, super cold, super exotic, nice and warm inside. I welcome you all. And then there's the next World Conference, which will take place in the Philippines in Cebu, November next year, hosted by the University of the Philippines Open University. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, just come and ask me after. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tarun. One thing that highlighted by Dr. Tarun was beware of AI. Use AI, but AI is not the end. It is the medium where you can solve your problem, but technology is not everything. And there are challenges of AI, challenges of technology, and we should not think that technology will solve everything. And so she says that education is a relationship, two-way learning, so human touch is very important, sustainable development is important, flexible learning, and one thing that she highlighted, in the crisis situation, only ODL comes for rescue. जब भी संकट आएगा, ODL संकट मोचन बनेगा. इन वाक्यों के साथ now I invite Professor Panda to deliver his lecture.
Oh no, you're not going to be on till midnight like you said. You're not on till 11:30 they said. I better stop looking at it.
Thank you, Professor Satyakamji, Honorable Professor Anu Agarwal, Chair, President Professor Satyakamji, Vice Chancellor, Sir John Daniel, if he's live there, he's been Additional Director General of UNESCO, President and CEO of Commonwealth of Learning, Professor Ami Upadhyay, Vice Chancellor, one of the very dynamic Vice Chancellors that I've ever seen, of Ambedkar Open University, and of course Dr. Tarun, Secretary General, and very prestigious, most probably the #1 international organization, the International Council for Open and Distance Education. In fact, in 2005, sir, you would recall, Chair, 2005 we organized the ICDE conference in IGNOU in Delhi when Dr. Radha Role was Secretary General, her predecessor. And it is very interesting to see her back and to join the consortium here yesterday, as I understand, as she spoke today. So, friends, and Sir John, if you are live, then you will provide the expert remark. I will devote quite a few bit of my PowerPoints on your work, and therefore we look forward to your final remarks as expert remark. Of course, the chair would present the final remark. So, friends, next. So, next means next. So, when the time I can imagine. So, friends, I will rush through some of the very important works based on some of the contemporary works that have been done, and then proceed to conclude very quickly. I have about 15 or 16 PowerPoints. What you see on the screen is the development starting from the old correspondence school to the new blended learning today, both synchronous and asynchronous, as you see on your screen. But that is 2010. But now, now, therefore, we are into a situation that 1998 onwards towards 2018, this is a very, very chronological development internationally of technologies that a whole lot of things that are available in this country, but we are not getting that either into the classroom or to open distance learning. That is, and for every child, every student. So therefore, 2018, I put a question mark because this has come in a book published in London. So this table is from there of my chapter. So anxiety, 2018 onwards, after artificial intelligence. Post-2018 is ChatGPT, OpenAI, all kinds of things. And then Bharat GPT and all kinds of things are coming up. So anxiety, data surveillance, ethical concerns vis-a-vis the Elon Musk's the latest project. So this PowerPoint I will stop there, and therefore, as he rightly pointed out, AI, we have to be very careful, and it is extremely useful, and it is also extremely dangerous. So therefore, we have to be very, very careful. Artificial intelligence can do quite a few things that you see on your screen, and which we should benefit from open and distance learning, certainly from the formal system. Adaptive learning, personalized learning is the buzzword today, even if we are talking about community-engaged education, collaborative learning, cooperative learning, kinds of things, but certainly personalized learning is the buzzword, because you learn for yourself, you don't learn for me, I learn for myself, and I don't learn for you. So let's be very clear. So therefore, and we exchange meaning because we are living in a community practice. So therefore, adaptive learning is very important. Assistive technology, both for inclusive education and disability, and data learning analytics, scheduling, facility management, next institutional management. These are very important that we can derive from. But then we are getting into a context today, including our national education policy, blended learning. It's the latest work that we have done, published by Springer, and this is some of the best case studies in the world that we have put together. And we are pleading that we had with Professor Mark Nichols, we had a lot. I presented, he invited me to join his book, which I'll show right now, and I could not contribute the chapter, but then legends of online learning, so I appeared, so I'm a proud legend of online learning. In president of ICD, Mark Nichols has done an excellent, you must get into that podcast, and which is a very, very good thing. So what our national education policy therefore is pleading for a blended learning. Our entire higher education system has gone blended, by the way. There's nothing exclusive face-to-face, exclusive distance, exclusive online learning. This is your national policy. What it says that given the credit hours, 40 credits a year, for instance, given the credits for certificate, diploma, degree, you distribute your credits depending on where you are teaching, which context, face-to-face, distance, online, hybrid, blended, that distributes across your face-to-face, Swadhyay, self-learning, which is not happening, which is the buzzword of the NEP, National Education Policy, and a lot of activities that we are not able to do in the classroom. Let us do it online in free open access platforms. Integrate that. So no supplementary, no complementary. Let us integrate that, whether it is artificial intelligence, machine learning, all kinds of things that National Education Policy has talked about. So therefore, not surprising that the SOIM has also shifted from the 4 quadrant. This is our national online platform for everybody, starting from school, college, university, TVET. Now it is a SOIM Plus, which is for technical professional education and vocational education. The second platform, parallel platform, SOIM Plus, which we were using for the government of India to train 1.5 million teachers on national education. We did for 2 years. Then it got converted to MMTTCs, 118 MMTTCs now. I was national coordinator for that. And that SOIM has become vertical 2, has become now SOIM Plus. So now it is 6 quadrant, and 2 quadrants have been added to that. Oh, excellent. So, oh my goodness. So now you have taken away my 10 minutes. So very quickly, if you can quickly get into in any case, so industry vertical, because now we have skilling employability and TVET and skills universities as part of that, and that is now compulsory from grade 6 onwards in this country from the school, by the way. CBSE and CRT a few days back declared that way it is compulsory from grade 6, so also research and internship. And blended learning ecosystem is now getting into which SOIM didn't really have. It had print, with video, interaction, discussion forum, and assessment. Now these 2 verticals next have been added to that. And our national education policy talking about multidisciplinary holistic education. This is the formulation that you see on your screen, and I'm not able to read, but if I say what are the buzzwords today that we all, and especially in distance learning and for regulation that I will talk about in a minute, that it is very important. Multidisciplinary, which is a curriculum exercise. Flexible, multiple entry and exit, we have been doing for long in distance learning in any case. Theory into practice, pedagogy in the context, that's the buzzword of NEP 2020. We have been influenced a lot by the British, I have no hesitation to say, and therefore we give more importance to curriculum, syllabus, all kinds of things. And the Nordic countries where Torun belongs to, and non-British countries, they give more importance to didactics of pedagogy, and therefore curriculum forms part of that, and national policy, education policy is hitting that. Now let us translate theory into practice in context. Let us bring pedagogy to the forefront. That's the buzzword. Interdisciplinary, which is a pedagogic issue. Skilling, employability, vocational education and training is the most important thing today, vis-a-vis GER. Holistic education and research and internship are compulsory today, starting from the school, next school. So therefore, I will devote a minute, 5 minutes, 4 minutes more. So, Sir John Daniel, who is live, and I will start with that because the whole discourse of open distance learning, that how scalable it is, what is the economy of scale, what is the break-even point, and what is the return on investment. As a student of economics myself, I could argue this, that Sir John gave an iron triangle and argued the case, and I will come to Professor Mark Nichols, who has worked now Sir John Daniel's book, and I will show that. That's the latest available for us today, 2025. It says that access is possible, quality can be ensured, and cost can be manageable. This is the argument within the iron triangle. And then later on, when technology came up, he extended this idea. This is a world debate which is still going on and which has been implemented largely in most part of the world, including my part of the world, that you can still reduce cost, increase access, and enhance quality, provided you effectively, what is said was something that if you can reshape the iron triangle through technology interventions, that are his words. So it is very much what next. It is very much possible. So therefore, Mark Nichols, the president of ICD, which I could not contribute to this, now came up with this Sir John Daniel's book, Universities and Knowledge Media, then published by Cognipace, now Routledge, and argues, extends the mega university concept and knowledge media little further. This is 2025 book, and this is called, you must be able to read. Oh, here, Mega Universities and Opening Education by Design. Now, Professor Mark Nichols, is a good friend, by the way, Professor Mark Nichols argues that let us reterm open and distance learning education to design education. You must argue, read the book to see the argument. And elsewhere, in a excellent journal article, he's arguing. And one could buy that idea, that a debate is very much welcome. But in the foreword of the same book, Sir John Daniel, who will be presenting towards the end, he says, can mega universities continue to add new dimensions to the notion of openness and bring higher education to all who might benefit from it without compromising the economies of scale that are the unique advantage? He has put this question mark towards the end paragraph of the foreword. And Professor Mark Nichols, towards the end of his own conclusion chapter, says that the evolution and significance of mega universities, emphasizing their role in providing a valuable, inclusive, scalable, and sustainable education, advocates for a strategic alignment of macro, meso, and micro, which Professor Olaf and others, our colleagues from Universität Germany and elsewhere, Oldenburg, they have given us, and he's concluding the next. So we did a study supported by the, of the Commonwealth of Learning study, policy and practice study in many countries, and I could get a chance to this study. This was done for the ministerial team for the minister and policymakers. And 5 things that we came to a conclusion that we need in our regulation and practice, 5 things. You must get hold of these. This is an open document to download. Integrating employability into the curriculum, distance, multimedia, discipline, multidisciplinary skills, social life skills, vocational skills, all combined together. That's what the National Education Policy is also talking about precisely. It's not a new thing. Rethinking assessment, authentic, continuous, comprehensive, and holistic. I'm just reading out because the whole descriptions have been over there. Micro-credentials and lifelong learning. Digitalization of the sector, infrastructure, connectivity, content, and technology-enabled learning. And finally, targeting women and persons with disabilities. And some of the case studies have been given there with examples and with authentic next. So therefore, micro-credential is the buzzword today. And therefore, Tarun also talked about micro-credentials. Madam also talked about, in the morning also, the Honorable Minister or the Vice Chancellor talked about Delhi University Vice Chancellor of the micro-credentials. Now, in our policy regulations, we need to build this into National Education Policy is talking a whole lot about this. The University of Delhi, 176 credits, over 16 credits more than 140 credits, 160 credits of the 4-year undergraduate program is all about micro-credentialing because it is value-based education. And which students are accepting, professors have accepted, the final year students will be coming out next year. So we will see that how best this is going. Delhi University is probably the best example in implementing these micro-credentialing, and especially next PowerPoint. So therefore, to extend that a little bit, this is a rework on this is a 5 minutes, 2 minutes more. Next. So we are working on a business model of the Commonwealth countries. Fortunately, I'm part of that. So Dr. Turnime says that within the next few weeks, this will come out, the report. There's a business model next, business models for open and distance learning. All these 11 parameters we are working out that how we must look at our business model. Because we as professors will look at academic students, they look at their learning, and so forth. So all put together, we need to sit together to develop our business model, how we are doing, how qualitative it is, what is employability, what is cost effectiveness, what is return on investment, who pays, who spends, who earns, and all kinds of things that we need to openly debate and come to a conclusion that this is our institutional business model. And it might vary from institution to institution. And this is a framework that can do. We are suggesting that activity-based costing, which is the latest and which could be next. Finally, to conclude 1 or 2 PowerPoints, our regulation, this is your regulation, 2022. We are still waiting for 2025 regulation to come out. 2 things humko khatakta hai, which should now get into, which has already been spoken about, is that now blended learning is the buzzword. So this online distance and all kinds of things, now we should get into blending system. It is already blended. And number 2, skilling and employability is the major issue. And National Credit Framework 2023 that has come up, based on which our 4-year undergraduate, all kinds of things are happening. Now we need a new regulation for open and distance learning, as you call, I will call it a blended learning. Now open education has come to the fore, open pedagogy, open education resources. We all are grappling with that. And students are acquainted with this. We as teachers and institutions, we are very less. Finally, next. We therefore came to, Madam, I'm very sorry, I'm showing this book because we could not include the chapter, but still I'm very sorry that this is a latest 2025 publication by Dr. Sanjay Mishra and myself. This is a 740 pages book published by Routledge, New York. This is a stock taking of the open universities and distance learning in the world. You can read it. I'm not visible over there. But then these are the conclusions. The business model, we have talked about Open University of Hong Kong, which has now become a face-to-face university from Open University. Open Universities Mixed Mode, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh University. Open University Consortia, Open EU, Open E-University. OU, part of university, University of Philippines Open University, ODDBL, part of University Anatolu, Consortia of Open Universities Brazil, and a whole lot of things that we have discussed. And these are the points that have come up that we need to finally to talk about innovation, future quality, whatever we could do our best, we have come out. And next, please, and the final one. Final nahi hai. इसमें so ये नहीं होगा तो कैसे चलेगा? So therefore, friends, research is happening less. Research is the foundation to our scholarship, and open and distance learning is much behind in comparison to the face-to-face system. I'm introducing to you two journals, which Tarun has already spoken about, Open Praxis, and which my friend Professor Arash Poskurti is chief editor, and which is into Scopus and into Web of Science. It is much ahead of us in Journal of Learning for Development, of which I'm the chief editor of Commonwealth of Learning. These two, and they are into Scopus. We're still getting into Web of Science, very high impact two journals, and you must seriously consider to work, excellent work, on open and distance learning and contribute to this. These two are open access journals. They are non-paid journals. They are high impact journals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Santosh Pandaji. And he talked about the research in distance education. To add two more quadrants in the SWAM, he talked about the blended learning, industry, vertical blended learning ecosystems, flexible curriculum. He has reviewed NEP 2020, talked about micro-credential. Now, I have the privilege to invite none other than Sir John Daniel, who is connected with us online. Sir, please address us. Sir John Daniel.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Sir.
Good. It's a pleasure to be addressing the group in India again. I speak to you from Vancouver, where it is just past midnight, no, just approaching midnight. I first came to India 42 years ago. Let me see this done. The full screen.
It was up in, right?
Yes, sir, it is on fine.
You can see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. I first came to India 42 years ago to visit the late Professor Ram Reddy, who was then working to create the Andhra Pradesh Open University, now the B.R. Ambedkar Open University. And later, as you know, he went on to create the Indira Gandhi National Open University. He was one of the great pioneers of open and distance learning, not only in India, but internationally. In June 1995, just before his untimely death, I was honored to receive an award alongside Professor Reddy from the International Council for Open and Distance Education at its conference in Birmingham, UK. Earlier, we had both been involved in the series of the Commonwealth of Learning there, and I am proud to have been his colleague and dedicate this talk to his memory. My title is Open Learning, the Assertions. I started working in open and distance learning 52 years ago when I joined TELU, the Open University of Quebec, Canada. And my long involvement in open learning included being president of Laurentian University, Vice Chancellor of the UK Open University, Assistant Director General for Education at UNESCO, and lately President of the Commonwealth of Learning. And along the way, I was President of the International Council for Open and Distance Learning in 1982, when it changed its name from correspondence to distance. So what have I learned about ODL during this time? I shall distill my experience into some simple advice about successful distance learning by posing two questions. First, why do we need open learning and what principles underpin it? Second, how do we provide open learning so that learners can succeed? Teaching people at a distance has a long history, but I will start in the 19th century when the development of railways created postal services. Correspondence education became possible and was adopted in various parts of the world, including India, where your University of Delhi pioneered this mode of teaching in 1962. Other Indian universities also started correspondence courses, and in 1984, Professor Ram Reddy created the Andhra Pradesh Open University. Later, your government mandated all states to create their own open universities. 14 are now listed on Google, and I have visited several of them. In 1989, you also created the National Institute for Open Schooling, which has had a cumulative enrollment of over 4 million pupils in the last 5 years. I worked closely with NIOS when I was at the Commonwealth of Learning, and we helped other countries to collaborate with NIOS and draw on its expertise to create their own open schools. India, therefore, has enormous expertise in open and distance learning, and as a foreigner, I offer my analysis in all modesty. But sometimes it is useful to go back to basics. First, why open learning? Democratic societies need all their citizens to achieve their full potential, which means giving them access to as much education and training as they can usefully absorb. 50 years ago, countries focused mainly on training their elites to a high level. They offered ordinary people just enough education to make them productive workers for simple jobs and cooperative citizens in society. Today, we expect more. When I joined UNESCO in 2001, my primary task was to drive forward the United Nations campaign for education for all. The Millennium Declaration had set the goal of getting all the world's children into primary school. And today, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which you heard about from Dr. Torren, call for all children to go through secondary education and for tertiary education to be made available to all who can benefit from it. Your Campus of Open Learning is an excellent example because it offers a wide range of practical courses to help people improve their skills and livelihoods. Governments must work on 3 dimensions to facilitate education and achieve these goals. First, make education accessible to all. Second, ensure that the quality is good. And third, keep the cost low. Let's construct a triangle with these dimensions. Our aim is to expand the side representing access and quality, but to shrink the cost side. However, there is a problem. Classroom teaching, which still accounts for most of education today, does not allow that. Expand access to the classrooms by taking more students. You will need more teachers and the cost will go up. Improve quality with more good teachers and better learning materials, the cost will rise again. Let's cut costs directly with fewer teachers and poorer facilities. both quality and access will drop. That's why I call it the iron triangle. It has restricted the development of education throughout history and led people to make an insidious link between quality and exclusivity. If you want good quality, you have to exclude people from it. But there is a solution, which is technology. Technology allows you to widen access, raise quality, and lower costs all at the same time. Now, this is not a new idea, and I am not talking about artificial intelligence. I refer to the 18th century economist and moral philosopher Adam Smith, whose famous book, The Wealth of Nations, explained the principles underpinning the Industrial Revolution, a revolution that replaced cottage industries with mass production. Smith's key principles of mass production are division of labor, specialization, and machines. And since the 18th century, these three principles have been adopted in most of our economic activities to give economies of scale. That's how factories work. Thanks to these principles, more people today have a decent standard of living than ever before. But I said most of our economic activities. The major exception is education, which still mostly functions as a cottage industry. Usually one person, the instructor, is responsible for all parts of the lesson, preparing it, teaching it, and assessing the students. Now, classroom teaching is a time-tested method of education, and sometimes it is done well, but often it is done badly. The systematic application to education of the principles that Adam Smith identified in the Industrial Revolution began when people first offered education at a distance. And here at the University of Delhi in 1962, you based the School of Correspondence Education on these principles. Division of labor. You divided up the teaching function. Some staff wrote the course materials, others organized their distribution, and others marked the students' work. Specialization. Each function had to develop new expertise because preparing and distributing learning materials for thousands of students was more complicated than giving out notes in class. And machines. This meant a new reliance on machines for printing, binding, shipping, and communicating with students. Combining these principles gave you consistent quality and economies of scale. Once materials and systems were in place, the marginal cost of serving an extra student was low. And since these courses attracted large numbers of students, they generated lots of money for the universities. I won't elaborate on the problems that this caused, but let me just say that not all the profits from correspondence courses were spent on giving a better experience to the students taking them. Open universities were created in part to address this ethical problem. They judged that correspondence schools offered access to courses, but not necessarily access to success in those courses. Putting it brutally, the greater the number of students dropping out before finishing their course, the greater the profits for the institution that had already banked their course fees. The ideal of open universities, not always achieved of course, was to give each student such good support that they would have every chance of completing and passing the course. So I turn now to the second part of this address. How? How do we do open learning so that all can succeed? Distance education has three basic elements: the development of learning materials, providing support to students, and ensuring that the logistics of distribution and communication work well. Think of it as a three-legged stool. All three legs must be strong or it doesn't work. How do these elements align with Adam Smith's three principles of division of labor, specialization, and machines? Walter Perry, the founding Vice-Chancellor of the UK Open University, said that the UKOU's most significant innovation was the course team. Instead of being prepared by a single academic, courses are developed by teams. They include academics with diverse specialities, as well as instructional designers, educational technologists, media producers, and editors. Such teams embrace all three of Smith's principles: division of labor, specialization, and machines. In student support, the division of labor is radical. The many tutors who advise students and mark their assignments were not involved in the course team that developed the course. Their role is to help students understand the course content developed by the team, but not to teach their own version of the topic. Tutoring is a specialized skill, and the UK Open University trains tutors in good practice before appointing them. For many students, the tutor's role is crucial. During my 11 years as Vice-Chancellor of the UKOU, I had conversations with some 50,000 graduates as they passed the stage at convocation. Many told me that without their tutors' support and encouragement, they would not have succeeded. Now, over the last 50 years, there have been huge changes in the tech.
Sir John
Yes.
Daniel, can it be 5 minutes more?
You will get exactly 5 minutes more, sir.
Yes, sir, 5 minutes more. Thank you, sir.
Over the last 50 years, there have been big changes in the technologies used in student-tutor communication. In the 1970s, much communication was by mail. So a UK postal strike soon after the OU began teaching in 1971 created a crisis that was only solved by a huge community effort. Today, much communication is by electronic, by email, text messages, or Zoom. But the basic aim of tutoring, to maximize the chances of success for every student, is the same. Finally, technology has also helped with the logistics of open learning. When I wrote my book, Mega Schools, Technology and Teachers Achieving Education for All in 2010, I was surprised to find that your National Institute for Open Schooling had already made it possible for tens of thousands of pupils to register online. Now, so far, I have not mentioned artificial intelligence, and I will only say this. When you assess AI or any other new technology and what it can do to open up learning, you should ask two questions. First, will it sustain the economies of scale that are the basis of cost reduction? And second, will it help students engage with interest and enthusiasm in their courses and stimulate them to study successfully? In short, does the new technology also break the iron triangle, which is the key to openness? So what is openness? I simply leave you with the statement made by Geoffrey Crowther, the first Chancellor of the UKOU, at its inauguration in 1969. And that happened in the week when space opened up to the first human landing on the moon. New things were possible. Crowther said that the UKOU would be openness to people, openness to places, openness to methods, and open as to ideas. Usually in talks like this, I focus only on openness to people, places, and methods. But the situation in today's world requires more emphasis on openness to ideas too. The academic freedom to teach ideas is under systematic threat by some governments, and the United States is the worst example. Its Declaration of Independence says that it is self-evident that all people are created equal. Yet its present government is trying to stop universities from discussing the ideas of diversity, equity, and inclusion that underpin the principle of equality. And worse, the US is pressuring the rest of the world to suppress these ideas too. We must resist. The open learning movement and the open campus of the University of Delhi should fly the flag of openness high up the mast. So be open to people, places, methods, and open to ideas. I thank you and wish you well.
Thank you, Sir John Daniel. Personally, on behalf of the chairperson, place my apology that I have to say what I didn't want to say. Sorry for that, sir. Now we are concluding the session, and with the permission of the chairperson, I think this was a very good session, and open and distance education and digital learning, and both sides of the aspect has been talked. The role of technology. Sir John Daniel also put a caution that use technology, but a caution. Our speakers have also put the same view, because there is a close relation between technology and distance education. What John Daniel said, when the railway starts, the distance education moves forward. And he also said that open learning march must go forward. So we should use technology, but with a caution. We talk about the flexibility. Our panelist talked about the new needs, new challenges, and I think that we will work on these ideas. We will implement as vice chancellors, as policy makers. We have to implement so that what our Prime Minister has said, that we have to move forward with the GER and literacy rate. So I conclude by saying that distance education, online learning, blended mode is the future of not only India, but future of the world. And what I said before, in the crisis, in pandemic, the open and distance system, education system, came forward. And after that, everything, the ecosystem has changed. Now online learning and now the work from home, etc., has come to the fore. Before that, we are not very well know about that. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, our panelists. Thank you, listeners. I believe that you must have some food of thought that you will think on that, and then we will move forward. Thank you very much.
Now I invite Professor Anu Agarwal for the concluding remarks.
Sir concluded. Here we come to the end of the very insightful session. A session which was very appropriately started with Madam, Professor Ami, where she said, very tagline, I'll say, for the entire session, One India with Many India, and online education providing a bridge, which connects that many to one. We have been, we talked about the need of international collaborations. We talked about the integrating technology with the education. So this session has been really informative, and it has given us a lot of ideas to carry home. If I talk about myself, then, when Professor Joe Daniel was talking about 3 dimensions of education, he talked about access, he talked about cost, and he talked about quality. If we see these 3, they are conflicting in nature. When we say access, we need wider access, quality high, and we don't want to pay for it. Okay, so they are self-conflicting. And I am a war person, so I know how to create a balance between the 3. So I got the idea for my research. Thank you. Thank you, all the esteemed speakers.
Thank you, ma'am. As we come to the conclusion of Keynote Session 1, we are grateful to our session chair, presiding officer, and distinguished speakers for their valuable time and for conducting this session. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight, global perspective, and rich experience, which have enhanced our understanding of the innovations and future direction in open and distance education and digital learning. We also thank all the participants for their engagement. Now I request all the delegates to proceed for the lunch. It is arranged at the ground floor.
कुछ लोग सामने आए हैं, कुछ लोग यहाँ पे आए हैं। सर आप बैठ जाइए। सर आप बैठिए। Those who want to take group photo, please do. Please come.
दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी सीआई नहीं आएगा कैसे होगा भाई? आ जाओ
आप भी आ जाओ बेटा। आ जाइए।
प्लीज
प्लीज एंकर क्या है नाम का? आप भी आ जाइए।
हमारा जी पक्का सीआई एजुकेशन सदा चलेगी, कुछ सदा चलेगी आपका आपके साथ बैक साइड पे आप अभी भाई दिखाई देगा आपको सामने जी सर एक सेकंड बिजनेस एजुकेशन पे आप आए नहीं, आ जाओ यार, आ जाओ साइड में, जल्दी जल्दी भागो, आ जाओ।